Here we are on North Sentinel Island, and it looks like another potential settlement might have just been found. And as you can see, it looks like there's some walking paths that have actually come through here as we lead up to what looks like a building, and at the very least, it looks like a clearing. So when you start to go back in time to 2022, it looks relatively the same, but as you go to 2023, you can see that there's actually a tree line here and showing that they haven't done too much so far. So as you can see, over time, it suggests that they could be building something, or at the very least, there's just some geological changes here. Because at the same time, it just looks like there's a lot of walking paths here, like they've done an awful lot of work to cultivate this space. So it's really hard to tell because of how blurry it is, but this could be some sort of thatched hut that they've built on the site. Or it could simply be a tree stump, because like I said, it's pretty hard to tell. But if we take this path and we start going to the right along this tree coverage, you can also see here that the trail keeps on going. It would just make sense that as it goes up, it would lead into the tree line, and they might have some sort of other base camp here as well. But it would make sense that they're using this trail every day, considering if you go to 2022, there's no path that goes into the woods. And that's not only for 2022. As you go back in time to 21 and previous years, you can see that it's pretty much a straight line. You go back again, you go back again, and it just seems like they've started taking this trail a lot more often to actually start developing the site over here. And it would make sense, it gives them plenty of options. If they're coming out from this little camp or settlement over here, then it allows them to go back into the woods to get more resources. So it would make sense if they're trying to go to different settlements across the island. So yeah, let's say they take this path and then they hop in the water, or they get on their canoe and paddle over to this other potential building right over here. I've shown this one before, but let me show you again. So this is 23, you go to 22, there's just trees, you go back, there's a square looking building. What do you guys think? This is an interesting one for sure, because like I said, as you go back in time, if we go to 2019, it doesn't look like there's much of really anything here. It's like they haven't really touched this part of the island. And then you go back again, and it just seems like they're obviously doing something, or the island is simply just changing its vegetation and the ecosystem is changing a little bit. Again, I want to be very clear that I'm not saying that this is 100% a settlement. I'm simply saying that I am observing this and it looks like it could be a settlement. Because just from a logical perspective, if I'm looking at something from a recent time and then you go back and it's completely different, obviously I'm going to think that there's some sort of change here. Now, whether that was man-made or whether it was a geological form by the island itself, I don't know. But at the very least, with all my videos, it's fun to speculate about this stuff because it is not impossible that this is the North Sentinelese actually developing something. And the other thing is when we change the angle and go back in time again, it just straight up looks like a beach that hasn't really been messed with. Whether that's Google Earth just taking time to make this actually look good, I don't know, but as you keep going forward, boom, there it all is. So to play devil's advocate, I always have this question. Why would they actually build a settlement out in the middle of the open if they know people are constantly watching them? This could simply just be another strategic location for them to build some sort of settlement in. Like, let's say somebody else comes to the island like they typically do. They're gonna be on the beach somewhere. So I'm sure their thought process is, why not have a bunch of camps around the island that we can stay at in the event someone comes down and comes to the island? And if this is a building here on Constance Island, like I've talked about before, it's very, very close to this potential camp. And it keeps on going because a viewer suggested another place for me. So the trails don't only go to the right, they also go to the left up here. And if you were to follow them the entire way, all the way over here, it would eventually lead you to this. And this is the other one a lot of people have been linking me to. I don't really know what to think of it because, again, it's just so blurry. But there's definitely some changes here. When we're looking at it from 2023 and we go to 21, we can see that there's this massive tree here. Go to 2019, same thing. So what that means is as we progress forward in time, something happened to that tree because it's not there anymore in 22. So here we are in 23, and if we were to go to 21, you can see this massive tree here, and I do think it's possible that it could have just died and turned like white. But at the same time, it's difficult to tell if these are trails and if this could be some sort of hut, and this could be a hut. And as you go from 21 to 22 to 23, there's absolutely been some changes here. Again, whether it's the Sentinelese doing this on purpose or not, that remains to be seen, but there's no doubt that there's been some sort of change. And I just am genuinely curious what happened to this tree. Did they cut it down to make way for some sort of new settlement? Or is this simply the remnants of a dead tree and it's just how it looks on Google Earth? I don't really know. Now, I guess it is possible that these could be those little circle huts that are found with other isolated tribes, but I don't know if that's the case. Now, I haven't seen anything explicitly say that they do or don't have circle huts, but I haven't seen any evidence on it. So the only footage I've seen of their huts was when Tian Pandit went there in the 90s or something, and there's actually video of the hut on screen. So whether that one's an actual camp or not, I'm just saying I think it's entirely possible that they have multiple camps spread throughout the southern part of this island. It's just possible that they have camps littered around the entire island. Just like up here when I've covered it before, there's this little settlement, or what looks like it would be a settlement. It would just make sense that they have one on the northwestern part of the island, close to the MV Primrose, and close to this massive footpath. I don't think it's crazy to think that they would have some sort of settlement over here, they would have a settlement here on the east side somewhere, and then down here on the southern part of the island as well. And the footpaths from this don't even look like they end here. Like I said, you follow this, and then it looks like it keeps on snaking down here, and as you follow it down, you end up with this, and it looks like this is a pretty popular trail they've taken multiple times. And again, what is the significance of this trail? Oh yeah, it's really close to Constance Island, which has this little building thing that I've talked about before. So as always, I really appreciate you guys always watching my videos. Don't forget to leave a comment because I do read through them all, and follow me on TikTok if you haven't already. So as always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video.